and welcome to our first episode of Fer-Mental. Today we're going to be talking about milk kefir. This is my already processed bottle, so you'll get to see what the grains look like in a few minutes. Now, while it is fermenting, what I do is I cover it with a coffee filter and a rubber band, something really easy that everybody has around the house. And now you can see into it. I'm just going to move these completely out of the way. And you can see some of the kefir grains already floating right there on top. I'm going to screw a lid on it and tilt it sideways so that you can see how I've labeled it. And I do this every time I make a new batch. So I have milk kefir and today's date on it, and that tells me that it's time to do it. And you can also see how the grains and the curd and the whey have separated during this process. I personally prefer to leave it fermenting a little bit longer than most people might because I like the tartness of it, and you get more good probiotics the longer it ferments. Now, the way I deal with the separation of curds and whey is I have 2 jars that I'm going to work with when I'm separating the grains from the milk kefir instead of just 1 jar. I'm going to use this jar, the smaller jar, the quart size, to put some of the extra whey into because I don't need all of this whey. That is going to leave me with a higher fat product, but it's also going to allow me to have the whey that I can use for other fermenting projects if I like. And it gives me a safe place to put the grains while I'm working with the milk. So we will start with, just from practice, I know that the first couple bits that come out are going to have a lot of whey in them. So I may have jiggled it up just a little bit when I leaned it so you could see it, but I'm taking my biggest filter and putting it in my quart-sized mason jar. And then on top of that is my biggest plastic strainer. Plastic is very important. We do not want to use metal with any of our live cultures. Now, I have a lot of grains and this is very full, so this can be a gunky mess, and that's why I have a cutting board underneath where I'm working, because I'm working on my dining room table, and I like my dining room table a lot. So I really don't want to damage it or keep in general the mess to a minimum. So I'm going to take out just a little bit at a time. Okay, there we go. And as you can see, it kind of looks like cottage cheese right now. And this is a part that I've kind of had a problem with teaching my daughters because they see it looking like cottage cheese and they say, oh, that's the curd. A lot of this is actually the grains, the actual SCOBY, the symbiotic culture of yeast and bacteria that we're going to harvest and put back in this jar to make our next batch with. So some of it is the cream and some of it is the grains. But after I've let it drip out a little bit, and let me see if I can, once I move this, I'll show you how much came out of the first batch, which really wasn't that much. And I have just used my spoon to move it over to the one that I will put in the fridge. But we have a little bit of whey here at the bottom right now. And now this is a bamboo wok spoon, and I'm going to use this to remove the cream from the grains. And I'm trying to be as gentle as I can, and I'm just moving it back and forth. And I kind of wish I was able to do this at an angle, so I'm going to try to angle this a little bit for you so you can see it dripping down in there. And my hands are very clean right now. I've washed them thoroughly and then rinsed them really, really thoroughly, and then rinse them with vinegar because I want to make sure all of the soap, that no soap comes in contact with my grains. Because we are working with a yeast and bacteria product, and soap, and especially antibacterial soap, kills bacteria. Would not make sense to combine the two. Now you can see now really how much of what I poured out is actually live culture. We've got almost all of the cream we're going to get out of this. Most of the time for me, the grains tend to float to the top. Some will be at the bottom as well, and I've heard other people say most of theirs stay at the bottom and hang out. I don't know what the variation is, if it's the type of milk we're using or exactly what's going on there, but I use 2% milk as my starter. I do not use organic because you do not want it to be ultra pasteurized. A lot of people go with a raw milk since they cannot go with a organic ultra pasteurized milk that you can just buy at the store. I do not. There's no bias against raw milk necessarily. It's just not something I have pursued right now, and the regular 2% milk at the grocery store that we have locally says that it does not do any of the hormone or antibiotic issues that are the main concern with milk product. I have taken the funnel and the plastic strainer and the spoon, and all we got out of that first little bit, as you can see, is just that little amount right there in the bottom, and it's a really thick cream. We're going to add more whey to that, but right now it's a really thick cream. And we're going to pour some more, and you can see the whey coming out first, and then the whey, and then we're going to have probably some glumping right here. Okay. I'm going to let the whey rain down through there a little bit. See if I can angle so you can see any of it. Okay, and that's pretty good. We don't want to lose all the whey. We're not looking for a thick cream. We're not making cheese today. We are still making milk, so we want some of that whey still in there. And again, now I'm going to take this is a bamboo spatula, and move it around. I like the bamboo because I like that it has a kind of flat edge on it, and it allows for just getting down in the strainer better. And I am gently moving them around and getting all of that milk separated. I'll see again, if I can do this at an angle, you'll be able to see the cream falling down in there as I work the kefir through and get all the cream that I can possibly get off of this kefir without damaging the kefir. I don't want to squish it too hard or anything. I'm just gently pressing it and moving it around. Okay, and then I always take the spatula and I scrape the bottom of the strainer to get that cream that's stuck at the bottom off. And then I'm going to take the milk kefir grains and drop them into the small container. I shake this again to get the last of the cream out. Move it back over here, and we're going to do it again. Whoa, a big glomp this time, and we have quite a bit coming through, but what's coming through is pretty milky. So I think I'm going to move it over here and go ahead and get some of this whey into this milk too. Like I said, I don't want to lose all of it. And I'm going to pause after I get this batch done because I still have half of this and there's no reason for you to watch me do the whole thing over and over again. So after we get this part moved, I'm going to pause it and just finish up. And we will pick up with when this jar is empty and what we do with the kefir grains and the whey that are in this one. Now I have a lot of kefir grains in this 1/2 gallon container. I have enough to really be fermenting a gallon at least. I can ferment a 1/2 gallon in about a day and a half right now, and that's to my liking, which is way beyond where most people like to let it go to. As much of the grains as I have, which is over a cup in here, I could ferment for a day and have a new batch every single day. I will probably move up to doing this in a gallon size pretty soon. But right now I'm still working in half-gallon sizes because I do remove quite a bit of the whey. And now you can see in here it's more milky because I've added some more of that whey back in there. It's not so much of a cream, but it's still, for me, going to be thicker than a 2% milk. It's still going to have that drinkable yogurt consistency, but more tartness and a little bit of effervescence to it. So hang in there. I'm going to pause and finish up this jar, and then I'll be right back with you.